Here we go. Let's do this.
We've got one life, one shot. Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? Addicted to Betterment, a podcast to inspire us to keep going, to try something new, to dream, to think big, bigger, to overcome. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Well, we're back. It's definitely been a break. And this break wasn't really intended until we got into it. And then we're like, well, I guess we're on a break. And so, I think the main learning here as we're prepping to launch season 2, and we're so pumped about it, is the commitment to greatness and being addicted to betterment, if you will, is about getting back on. Sometimes we fall off and it's an intentional needed break. And we all need those, right? With podcasting, you're really not supposed to take breaks. So from a podcast expert standpoint, most people won't come back once you take a break. So don't do it. Keep that cadence rolling. So just wanted to throw that out there. But we did take a break. Had some family issues, some health things going on. Just really honestly didn't have the energy to keep it going and wanted to relook at why are we doing this and what is the value that we really want to bring and what brings us energy as your hosts. And we're back, took that time of break, and we're really excited to be able to share with you today what's coming. And we hope that this is a new format that makes you even more excited about being on this journey with us than you were on our initial one.
Hang on. First, I want to say, if you had told me when we got started with this that we couldn't take a break, I don't know if I would have agreed to it. I
Yeah.
love breaks. So I'm a
Yeah.
fan of breaks. And this one certainly, as you said, was unintended, but dang, it sure did feel good. And as good as the break was, I'm equally excited to get back. And dang, I am so freaking jacked for this season and what we have planned. And I'm pretty sure all of our friends will be pretty jacked too. This is going to be great.
Yeah. We're at a place right now that, I feel the perfection of timing. I think that the break that we took unintended allowed us to go deeper in the things that we've learned in our lives that we really needed to apply. David and I would joke that we'd listen to our episodes sometimes and be like, we should do that. Like, we're coaching ourselves through this. And I know a number of podcasters say that that's one of the gifts of podcasting is that you're really pouring out the experiences that you're going through and you know it in your head and in your heart and your soul, but you're not doing that just now. And it helps to like sharpen and hold you accountable. So totally Addicted to Betterment does that for us during that time of some health challenges and uncertainty and being scared and some family dynamic issues that just drain energy. You search for, where do I get the energy to continue? Like, where do I bring myself back, or how do I bring myself back? And I know a big piece of that for David and I over the past 4 or 5 months or so was really leaning into our faith, really leaning into the power of the law of attraction, and what is in our mind is what is happening outside, right? The way we think about I can do this or I can't is what's going to be. And so nothing bigger and better than to bring this type of season, which is so much of those core learnings about like our foundation of our lives and how to build us to be the very best that we want to be, than how we're going to do this in season 2.
So our show's titled Addicted to Betterment. Nothing about Addicted to Betterment says I've got it all together. I've got it all figured out. Every area of my life is just on point. No gaps, no issues, no challenges, no setbacks. It's actually the opposite of that, right? So part of being addicted to betterment is some days you feel like you're on top of the planet and you can't do anything wrong and everything you touch turns to gold and it's like life is sweet. And then other times you find yourself laying on your back and you're like, holy cow, life seems overwhelming, or this segment of life seems like it's kicking my butt. And certainly I've experienced the whole gamut of that. But part of being addicted to betterment is whether you're on the top or whether you're really struggling. Either way, it's that constant, relentless pursuit to just get better, to get a little bit better in every day in every area of your life. And I just want to make it clear that it's not about pretending like we have it all together, because we both know, as we look at each other as we're recording this, neither one of us have it all together and have it all figured out. But we are constantly trying to get a little bit better, that 1% better regularly. So you can tell me, no, David, I think you have it all figured out and you have it all together if you want. That was kind of a cue for you to say
Pretty close,
that.
pretty
You missed the
close.
cue. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah. But when you did say the 1% better thing, I just have to give a quick shout out to Atomic Habits. We're in Q4 and we're turning a corner on the new year. What a great read
mm,
to help cement in how you're doing the 1% better thing for sure.
yes, if you haven't read Atomic Habits, put that on your list. Do it immediately. It'll change your life for the better, and it'll be one that you'll want to reread over and over. I think I could actually put that on just replay, like my Spotify songs, and just listen to that over and over. My life would consistently get better. So,
Oh, but David,
yes.
one quick thing that I wanted to say during this like
Uh
unintended
huh.
break that didn't start off in a place that we're like, here's our goals for health and getting better financially and building a business and all that. In that, you go through this deep soul searching and what matters. And we got really into like mindset work and have a
Hmm.
practice every day of meditation and love breath work as a centering piece.
Hmm.
Through that, we went on a health journey together. And I just want to like celebrate through this recording right now that David and I have lost a lot of weight. Like
Mm.
I've lost 25 pounds, he's lost 30 pounds. We've been really on a health kick to just feel better. Like if you look at all the things in your life, it's like your foundational pieces are like your what is greater than you that you believe in and where you're going and your core beliefs and your faith and all of that and your what's in your mind. You can't do anything or much if your health isn't there, right? And so really building on our health. So we're coming back like refreshed on here's my core values, like why I'm here. I've been so fired up lately. Like last night I was on the Monon, it's a trail nearby. And I was just so fired up about this theme that's working in my life around helping people to think bigger, helping people to dream. And I'm just at this place now after taking a long break that I could even be there to receive like a little message that's coming through on a podcast episode or a call that I had, and then finding these themes when you're just like in that flow state. So, all that to say, I just want to congratulate taking a break, working on ourselves, and being at a place right now that we feel freaking great to introduce what's to come with season 2. So,
Yeah. One thing I want to dive into real quick, Nikki, is we talk about being addicted to betterment, getting better all the time. And in my life, and I'm curious to hear from your perspective how this shows up. One of the areas that I have had that's constantly helped me just get a little bit better is the coaching and the coaches, the mentors, the people that I've surrounded myself with. And I am blessed beyond words to have a handful of those in my life right this very moment. That those people that when you leave an hour session with them or 90-minute session, and you walk out and get in your car, you feel better. Your mind is in a better place. You have a clearer vision of how you're going to execute the next thing, how you're going to overcome that next challenge, how you're going to be a better husband, a better wife, a better employee, a better boss, all those things, those people. And I just, that's one of the things that has, I mean, in a big way affected my quality of life, my quality as a man, and how I show up professionally. I'd love to for you to talk briefly before we talk about what's to come. Help me understand, in your history of being addicted to getting better, how has coaching and mentors, that sort of thing, showed up for you?
oh, in a huge way. I would never be where I am without that. And I choose to invest my time. It's one of the ways that I give back is to spend time mentoring. And I know when there's a gap in my life, like if I don't have time blocked to do that or I haven't been doing that, it's so important to me because it's this cycle of so many people have fed into me. I have to do that for other people. And sharing what I learn is just a core piece of who I am. So coaching has changed my life. And where it started, I was like 26 years old and I got really inspired by a speaker that I saw. Her name, if those of you around Indianapolis or maybe beyond, her name's Lorraine Ball. I saw her at an event that I was first of all just energized being at this event. I loved being around these people. I was like, who are these people? Where'd they come from? And then I listened to her speak and I was like, dang, it was like a pin dropped in that room. And I was sitting there reflecting on how scared speaking makes me. Like there's all these statistics, like people would rather die than public speak or whatever. I guess I was in that place. I don't really remember exactly what that felt like, other than I was very nervous to do what she was doing, but I admired it. And so I remember reaching out to her. I had no clue who she was, just reached out afterwards and was like, I'd love to get to know you more. I loved your story today. I can still tell you that story about her. She was in a bakery with her dad and she dropped a cupcake and the cherry fell off and all of that. If she's listening to this, she'd probably crack up. But the power of storytelling right there, right? Dang, that's years ago. Not to reveal my age, but let's call it 15. So at that time, I was like, I know I have to get over this in order to grow my career. I have to get over this speaking, the scaries or whatever. So started to reach out, ask people for referrals and things. And it just so happened that for those of you that are familiar with Toastmasters, it's like the international speaking club. If you've never done Toastmasters and you are working on your speaking, please give it a try once in your life. There's clubs everywhere. It's kind of like a Rotary, but it's for speaking. And man, will it help you get better. Anyway, the international president, past president, lives in my community. I'm like 26. Somebody tells me this. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, I could email introduce you. I'm like, great. So I remember connecting with this gentleman and we had an initial kickoff meeting or whatever to get to know each other. And at the end of that meeting, I grabbed my purse and I will never forget this. I got my checkbook and wrote this man a check just out of my own funds. I didn't even have time to talk to an employer. I was just like, I know I need to do this. So, what is the first step of really committing to something is you take action. And man, money does that. Money and time do that for us. And that started the journey. And we worked on speaking stuff for the first, I don't know, a couple years. But it all started with him saying, I'm not here to help you perfect a speech. I'm here to help you figure out who you are. And once you know who you are and your core values, everything that you share is going to become so much more comfortable. And so we started with creating my personal mission statement. That was my first homework. And then I had to come back and I had to speak to him about why that was so important. And so I started to just master what I was fired up about. Kind of goes to like Simon Sinek's, like, start with why. That's what he did with me. We did speaking coaching today. He is still my coach, and I've shared him with many other people.
That's awesome. So I recently read a stat, and I'm not going to get the actual exact stats right, so I'm going to paraphrase. The vast majority of people take a mindset around coaching one of three things. One is I don't need a coach. Number two is I don't want to coach. Number three, I simply can't afford a coach. So hats off to you for not being one of those three buckets. The other percent, the very, very small minority, I can't live without a coach. I can't afford not to have a coach. Ironically, that very small percentage is the top performers in the world. It's the top athletes, it's the top CEOs. I read another stat that said 2/3 of the top CEOs in the world, not in the United States, in the world, are obsessed with coaching. If you interview them and ask them what is some of the things that help make them successful and who they are, they're running the top companies in the world. They will tell you, I'm obsessed with coaching, obsessed with getting better. And you ask yourself, why would the top performers, why would the top people in their industry, in their sport, whatever it is, why would they be obsessed with coaching? And if we think about that, let's look at two of the top performers. You and I would call them the GOATs. Michael Jordan. And I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you disagree that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. We're just going to have to agree to disagree on that because somehow you've gotten misled in your life, and hopefully you'll see the light and recognize Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time.
Can I just give a +1?
Yeah. Michael Jordan, and I quote, a coach is someone who sees beyond your limits and guides you to greatness. And if you think about that, coaches are great because they're objective. We see our limits and sometimes we our limiting beliefs. Coaches see beyond all of that. Tiger Woods, who I also believe is the GOAT in his sport. A coach is someone who can give you honest feedback, expert support. and helpful accountability can elevate your game or your life beyond what you imagine is possible. Those are the two of the goats in sport, one in golf, one in basketball. And those are such great quotes about how important a coach is in your life. And so thank you for one, being in that top group and saying, I need a coach and I'm going to spend the money probably at a time in your life when you didn't have a ton of extra money to be able to afford that. But bottom line is, thank you also for sharing that story with us. And that brings us to what season two is. So we had the idea as we both seek coaching, and Nikki hired a coach a long time ago. And I've been blessed to bring this coach and other coaches into my life recently. And what we have decided is to bring in the legendary coach, Tommy Richardson, who is Nikki's longtime coach, also my coach. And we are going to do coaching sessions in which we are just going to sit down and do coaching with him as if we are sitting in his office and in his chair and doing a coaching session, and let you experience the power of his coaching with us. So the idea is that our friends and family and everyone who is joining us on this journey of being addicted to betterment can drive in their car, run on the treadmill, sit on the couch, whatever it is, wherever you take in this podcast, and also experience the power of coaching. And I believe, firmly believe, that if you will embrace this with us, and my experience has been so tremendously eye-opening in some areas of my life. If you will embrace this with us, it will enhance your life in ways you don't even see possible right now.
Yeah. So just like I shared a little bit ago, David and I will listen to our episodes and we're like, oh, we should probably apply that. Like it's accountability, right? So I've been coaching with Tommy since I was 26 years old. So 15 years. I've learned so much from this man. I'll be in a meeting and I'm like, where did that come from? Oh, Tommy, right? Like so much of my core principles have come from him. Many times people will say, like, how did you get to this place that you've got that mindset, like this mindset of abundance and like the way that you like celebrate others' successes and truly feel that way and the blueprint in my mind that guides me, which a lot of times fails me, but I get back on. It really came from Tommy. This is a like legacy piece that I see. It's just something so heartfelt that for me is going to be a gift experience because this has been my greatest coach of my life. Like I will go to my deathbed saying Tommy Richardson was the greatest coach in my life. There's no one that's ever going to replace that. And I cherish every moment that I get with the man still today. I reflect on going back to when I hired him as my speaking coach and he said, "I'm not here to perfect like your speech that you're thinking for business. We're going to talk about who you are and we're going to bring that to life and build from that." Some things that you can expect in working with Tommy. So much of him is built on core values and living out your core values. And so much is about the God given strengths that you have. And are you playing to those? And you know, when you've got that gap in your life where you're like, something's missing, there is powerful questions that he will ask to help you figure out what that gap is to figure out how to fill it. So it's like I am living a more fulfilling, meaningful life. I was put on this earth for a reason. Sometimes I get off track with like what's missing, and coaching is there to help us dig deep and figure that out. So core values, really understanding like the next step in dreams that you want to accomplish and maximizing your life. There's an acronym. He has lots of acronyms to help us remember things, but one is fear, and it's false evidence appearing real, and really how we hit those things on the head because everything's in our mind. The only thing holding us back is in our mind 95% of the time. And so how do we attack those things to overcome them, to be who we really want to be? I've lived this principle for a long time about who am I being? What am I doing? What do I want to have and what am I enjoying having? And then what am I giving to other people? And just like the life wheel was taught to me by Tommy and taught to David through Tommy. The life wheel is one thing about our whole life and like how we design where we want to go, but then who I want to be in that, what I want to do, like next step action, what I want to have and share with others and enjoy, and like then what am I going to do to give back? How am I going to serve? So we'll be talking about things like self-discipline, which is like a core to being a goat, our focus and where we're spending our time, building an optimistic mindset, a mindset that helps us to get to where we want to go and just really living the life that we want. And I will just button up with this. This is a coach that the core of who he is, helping people be better by never stopping, never giving up. Little spoiler alert, the man is, I believe, 86. The man still competes in global heavyweight lifting. He still coaches football. He's a football coach for a high school. The man still is actively like growing his business. And he's like, you know what? There is a statistic out there that says when people retire, it's one of the worst things you can do because they don't have the next phase of life plan. They're like, oh, I'm just going to chill. And then they're not active and they're not pursuing the next step. And so, no matter what age you are, you will be so freaking inspired by this man who's just like, let's keep going and live every day we have to the best that we can to serve ourselves best and our Lord best and the people around us.
You just touched on something kind of what spurred the us activating this series. If you're asking yourself, why would they do this? And here's really what spurred that. So, Tommy and I were having breakfast one morning, and I asked him the question in response to some questions he was asking me. I said, "Tell me, what is your compelling why? What is your why?" And his response floored me. And I actually, it still stays in my head regularly. He said, "David, I'm 86, and when you get to hear these coaching sessions, you'll recognize very quickly Tommy wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a passionate guy. And so if you can see that part, this piece will make much more sense." He kind of leans forward and he's looking at me and his face kind of changes structure and he gets this look in his eye and he goes, "David, I'm 86. I'm 86 and I feel like I've got 5 or 6 really good years left. And for those 5 or 6 years, I just wanna go as hard as I can and help as many people as I can get better and be better in life." And that just floored me. I'm half that age, and if I can still have that drive and that commitment to helping others, and it spurred this idea as Nikki and I were talking about this, a lot of people, as we talked earlier, simply writing a check and hiring a personal coach, that's a hard thing to do. And what we are excited about is that our friends and family get to experience with us as if he was coaching you while you're sitting in your car, while you're running on the treadmill. And I will tell you, he is pretty in depth in getting you to understand who you are and who he asking questions for myself. And it's funny because he said, David, most people don't even do that. Most people don't take the time and go deep enough to really understand what is their own personal mission statement. What's your own personal set of core values that say, hey, this is who I am? Because often when we get out of line with that, we find ourselves where, man, life kind of sucks right now. It's overwhelming. It's because we're not in alignment with what those core values are. Here's the reality: those core values, they're not set in stone. They can change as we evolve as humans. We evolve as people, and those core values can change a little bit and pivot because we certainly don't want to stay the same person as we are. Tommy does a great job of just helping you understand that. And man, super grateful to have this legend of coaches that coaches top performing CEOs, top performing athletes. And the best part is he wants to teach me, you, Nikki, you listening, to learn to coach ourselves. And at the end of the day, we are coaches. We're coaching our kids. We're coaching our coworkers. We're coaching the people who work with us, who work for us, who work around us. We are coaches in our life. We're coaching ourselves every single day. And if you think you're not, then that means you're probably not coaching yourself well. But at the end of the day, whether we like it, love it, hate it, or don't even want to recognize it, we are coaches every day. And he wants to elevate us as coaches. He's a coacher of coaches, not just a coach that helps people to get better. And then you just have to stay with him and stay with him. He wants to help us be better coaches in life. So super excited, super grateful. The word I would use is grateful that we have the opportunity to bring this to our friends and family in this way. And man, friends, I hope so much that you enjoy this with us, embrace it, take advantage of the opportunity to have one of the top coaches really in the United States to help us all be addicted to Betterment.
So, you just listened to this episode. Now, join us in being addicted to Betterment. Subscribe to the show, share with your friends, tag us, and please take a moment, leave a review. Yeah, we do want your stars, but we really want the feedback.